Hello, hello, I'm Casey.
And I'm Fallon.
And this is Render the Darkness. All right, we took a little bit of a holiday break, and we're back. We're back with a clean slate, as you see, clean background, which we will be adding to. And we are back with new and hopefully improved episodes for your listening/viewing pleasure. So we have not forgotten about our 50 state series. Nope, we were still working on that through the break. We're also working on revamping and remodeling and restructuring our whole little system here. So that being said, the last state we were going to be rolling into was Maine.
Maine.
Really would like to visit Maine someday, and really looking into the ghosts and cryptids of Maine just made me want to go visit Maine more. It's really beautiful state. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and give you your fun fact, and then we're just going to jump right into the ghosts of Maine.
Fun fact.
Yep, that's right, we kept that.
Yeah,
for sure. So I actually included several fun facts about Maine because Maine is a pretty fantastic state and it's really fascinating. Tons of facts about Maine I did not know. So Maine is 89% forest. It's actually the most forested state in the U.S. and it's home to the highest moose population in the lower 48 states.
Moose.
And it's also the largest producer of wild blueberries in the U.S., producing a whopping 99% of blueberries in the nation.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a lot of blueberries.
Yeah, and that's just one of the hundreds of fun facts. Well, actually, that was 3 of the hundreds of fun facts I could have picked about Maine. All right, now that we're through with some fun facts about Maine, let's get into some of the ghosts of Maine. I'm going to be telling you 2 different stories in this case. Let's jump right into the first one. So before I do, Maine stories are actually older than most of the towns and lighthouses. They take place anywhere from forests to old logging roads to old sawmills and even out to the sea. The stories speak of things from cursed islands to phantom lights to sirens. These stories have been told from one generation to the next, and in this episode we're going to explore a couple of those stories and where they originated from. And since I was talking about sirens, the very first story is the Siren of Shudik Point. In this tale, we're traveling to the Acadia National Park to talk about what or who is believed to be haunting the jagged cliffs of Shudik Point, an area often referred to as the quiet side of the park due to having less visitors than other areas of the park, which may or may not be a good thing. Shudik Point is actually located on the Shudik Peninsula, and one thing this area is known for is its coastline. The views have been described as dramatic, with loud, powerful, crashing waves occasionally sending the spray of the ocean up to 30 feet in the air. The sounds of crashing waves against the pink granite ledges are said to create a siren call of nature, but is it in fact nature making the call, or is it something else? So according to locals, the sea carries a different sound here. It almost carries a voice of their own. That's how they describe it. What the vast majority of locals explain as sounds of nature or winds channeling through cliffs, others have felt pretty differently, with some saying the wind is too lyrical or too intentional to be that. They also say it most often happens near or right before some kind of tragedy strikes. Stories of this happening go as far back as 1893. There was a lighthouse keeper who was over on, I hope I say this right, I'm going to say Petty Manin Island, very close to Shudik Point. He reported looking out at Shudik Point during what he described as a, quote, very heavy storm and seeing a woman standing out on the rocks.
Oh no.
According to the keeper, she had long hair and was wearing a sea-soaked long dress. He claimed she was singing softly and slowly. He described the singing as calm, despite the waves being, quote, the size of houses crashing all around her. He wrote that as he watched and listened, a wave crashed and swallowed her completely. He went to look for her the following morning, and although her footprints were said to still be on the rock he had seen her standing on, her body was nowhere to be seen or found. From that point forward, for decades, fishermen from the nearby Winter Harbor started reporting what they referred to as, quote, the calling tide. They said when the fog was thick and rolling quickly, they could hear the humming or singing of a woman. They'd say it always had a slow rhythm, just like the keeper had written about, but some of the fishermen reported hearing it like drifting over the water. According to the ones who could report it, when they'd follow the singing or the humming, their boats would always end up dangerously close to the rock cliffs. And not all who followed the sound made it back to report anything. Some of the locals who believe in the singing lady to this day believe she's not malicious, but rather lonely and simply calling for someone to come join her in the sea.
Oh, that is sad and terrifying all at the same
I
time.
know. One report of the singing lady's captivating singing became well known in the area and came in around 1978 when 2 college students said they were hiking the cliffs around dusk when all of a sudden they heard what they described as, quote, the most beautiful singing we'd ever heard, like it was coming from under the ocean, end quote. According to them, they began following the sound toward the edge when one of them lost their footing and began falling, landing dangerously close to the waves. And just as a monstrous wave was just about to crash into him, his friend managed to pull him to safety. Rescuers showed up, and the 2 students insisted they had legitimately heard someone down there and were adamant for the rescuers to go look for the woman they'd heard. They did, but no singing lady was ever found. Over the years, the reports of hearing a woman singing or humming have continued to roll in. Most of the time, it's during the evenings in which there's like heavy fog over the rocks. It's been described as a sound that doesn't sound human, and that it has a strange pull towards the water hidden in the tune or the melody. I was thinking, as I was doing this, I was thinking like a harpy. Is that what it is? The like the women that seduce men with their singing. Is it a harpy? I think it is.
Is it hard?
I mean, I think it's just. I also consider it a siren, but
Yeah, it's kind of like mermaids. They do the same thing.
yeah, I don't know.
Hawks have wings and talons.
Do they?
Well, most of the ones that I've seen. Well, the ones that I've seen,
The ones you've read into. The ones I have dinner with at night.
No, but the ones like I've seen pictures and like video games and
Yeah.
Usually whenever you encounter a harpy, it's usually got wings and talons and sharp teeth and.
Maybe I'm thinking of a succubus. Maybe a succubus.
Well, maybe.
I don't know, man.
So-
I'm 40 now. This brain ain't braining the way it used to brain.
No.
Hey.
It's the truth.
Whoa.
My brain has been braining for about 3 years
Hurtful.
now, so you're just catching up with me.
I appreciate that. Thank you. The dreaded time. All right, so back to the case. Let's talk about some of the most common theories about what people could be hearing or feeling. Theory number 1. Some believe the woman may have been the wife of a fisherman who disappeared during a storm. Legend says she's the one who was waiting on the rocks, waiting for her husband to return, waiting there, singing softly until the sea took her. Theory. It is sad. Theory number 2. Some believe what people hear are actually the faint cries of a sailor who became lost at sea in the 1800s, and that the sailor can take form of anything he believes will lure people in the most.
Ooh. Okay.
Interesting theory. And of course, there's always that theory number 3, which is your logical,
Don't like it.
not as captivating. I don't like it either. It's your logical, not as captivating, non-thought-provoking theory that there's no legend or anything supernatural at all, but simply nature. This is the theory for the geologists and most park rangers who are in the area, and they believe that it's simply the wind tunneling through the cliffs, creating the sound that most people mistake for singing and humming. Either way, still to this day, people report hearing the humming and singing of a woman, mostly photographers and hikers. As beautiful as Schoodic Point is, and it is absolutely gorgeous, I'll attach some pictures, but my best advice, stay away from the edge, and no matter what, don't follow the singing. Story number 2.
See, I might get in trouble there. I'll be like, hey,
yeah.
what is that? Let's go check that out. She's going to be like, no.
She would absolutely follow the singing. She's the one who's like, oh, what was that in the basement? Let's go look. And I'm like, no, let's get in the car and go call somebody.
True.
All right, so story number 2 is going to be in Compass Harbor. So for the second story, I felt like I couldn't really talk about the Siren of Schoodic Point and not talk about the Ghost of Compass Harbor, since both are located in Acadia National Park. This particular legend is actually centered around one man in particular, and his name was, or is, if you believe in ghosts, George Dorr.
George Dorr.
George Dorr.
Okay.
First, let me tell you, George was absolutely devoted to keeping the land in the park preserved. He devoted his life and most of his money, and trust me, he had a lot of money to devote. He devoted most of that to the land preservation. He was and is still often referred to as Father of Acadia. In fact, he was so dedicated to it, he built his house in the middle of the forest.
Nice.
Unfortunately, George died on August 5th, 1944 of a heart attack at his home, known as the Old Farm Estate. After his passing, his house was just kind of left to crumble and decay over the years.
Oh, that's sad. You figured somebody would want to keep it up.
You would think, like it would become some kind of like a historical landmark or something. But I also read in one source, and again, I don't know, I'm just including it because I read it. I read in one source that is actually, instead of like it crumbling over the years, it was actually torn down.
Oh.
Either way, there's still like the stones from the foundation there. And there's also a stone pathway that George had put in place that led from his house to the ocean. That's still there.
Well, that's cool.
To this day. Now, to get to George's old estate, you have to just go south of Bar Harbor. Lots of harbors in Maine. Which makes sense. Because, you know, ocean and lighthouses and whatnot. Anyways, okay, so back to the case. Once you go south of Bar Harbor, you're going to follow like a winding trail of pine trees and moss-covered stones. I think the trail actually will lead you to it, but it does look like you're not on a beaten path, but you kind of are. Anyways, it said that as you get closer to the estate, that's when you begin to feel a heaviness and kind of like a presence among you, like the atmosphere shifts and changes the closer that you get. Those who claim to have actually seen George, or believe they have, say they see things such as a man walking the grounds alone, usually around dusk, usually dressed in like old-fashioned clothing, usually with his hands behind his back, and he's reportedly usually staring out toward Frenchman Bay. So usually not even like facing the people. He's just kind of doing his own thing. They say he never talks. They say he never turns. He just walks and fades into the trees.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's almost like maybe, you know, those theories that some people have about like when somebody passed that they get stuck in like a continuous time loop.
Yeah.
Like they just keep reliving the same day over
like residual
and over.
haunting.
Yeah. Like it kind of sounds like maybe that's what's going on with him.
Yeah.
Maybe. But rangers have reported hearing footsteps on the staircases. Photographers have reported their camera lens instantly fogging up and feeling cold spots. Hikers have often reported hearing footsteps behind them to turn around and there's no one there. And it's believed that it's George due to the proximity to his estate, combined with the devotion he had during his life to just like the land. So other things that have been reported have come from people who've made it to the actual old estate. The claims vary and report things like sudden drop temperatures, the feeling of being watched, whispers being carried through the wind, and some have even reported the flashing of light inside the foundation of the remaining stones. So, I mean, you know, it doesn't really seem that far-fetched that it may be him. You know, just as, you know, because as devoted to the farm as he was and the land, you know, it's not far-fetched. He would be just as devoted in his afterlife, maybe.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah, I'm not
Or
wanting to leave.
stuck. One of the two.
I would prefer to say that he just didn't want to leave.
No, that's...
I don't want him to be stuck nowhere.
That's a more pleasant outlook, probably, for old George.
Yeah.
So, although George is definitely believed to be the spirit close to his estate, he's certainly not the only ghost to be lingering, or believed to be lingering in Compass Harbor.
More ghosties.
A few more ghosties. There have been many reports from people exploring the shoreline of the harbor who claim to see a woman standing near the water. They have reported her to be wearing a long white dress, and she's always facing the waves. At first glance, some people report that they claim they thought maybe she was a lost hiker. I don't know about that one, a lost hiker in a white dress. I don't know. And some thought maybe she was just out taking pictures of the ocean. Again, it's a strange attire for such an activity, but maybe. But there's also those who claim that when they try to call out to her or attempt to approach her, they insist she just vanishes into thin air. There was one account claiming that the woman had left footprints in the sand and that the footprints appeared to be wet, but that the prints just like abruptly stopped and there was no disturbed sand anywhere near it. There weren't any returning footprints. So, I don't know. Another theory, outside of hiker or someone taking pictures, is that perhaps she was a guest of George Dorr that met an untimely demise, or maybe she drowned. And some theorize it's actually George's caretaker, and others think she may have been there before George. So, lots of
she's
theories.
The siren from the first story.
Well, she would have to travel across the... But maybe they're in the same national park. Maybe she moves shorelines. Maybe she travels.
Thanks. I mean, you said, in the last one that she was in a sea-soaked dress, didn't you?
Yeah. That's true.
Maybe.
I don't know what color the dress was.
Throwing my own theory out there.
That's an interesting theory. It could be. Could be a traveling ghost. So, although no one knows who she is. See, no one knows who she is. Almost all the reports claim, and this is again similar to the siren of Shudik Point, lots of reports claim seeing her only on quiet nights, near dusk, when the fog sits on the water and it's low tide. So similar. There are some similarities. I'm not going to discredit your theory. Another spirit thought to be lingering about in Compass Harbor, and Fallon, you're going to like this one. It's a ghost dog.
Oh, ghost doggy.
Yeah. Many hikers report hearing a dog running behind them. They hear its paws hitting the dirt trail, and they could even hear its dog tags jingling as it runs. There have been claims of people feeling the dog against them, nudging their legs. But there's never anything there.
I would name it 0.
So some report seeing the shadows of a dog running through the trees or sitting by the old steps that remain at the farmhouse estates, almost as if it's like guarding them. And so I will say George was known to be very, very close to his dogs, and he was known to frequently walk them along that stone path to the ocean. So, is it possible that he still does?
Yes.
Maybe. What do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm saying yes to all of it. Yes.
Yes.
No doubt in my mind, yes to it all.
I'd like to think maybe, yeah. I'd like to think that him and the lady and the dog just are kind of like living this happy together afterlife.
Yeah. Like it's still kind of going on like normal for them.
Yeah, like maybe they don't even know they're dead. Maybe they just, it's just the cycle that they live in. I don't know. But that is just a couple of the many, many ghosts of Maine. So if that is something that you're interested in learning more about or reading more about, I highly recommend that you do, because there's a lot of them, actually.
I can see that.
Yeah, lots of lighthouses, lots of harbors, lots of areas where, there's probably been some deaths, let's be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, with, you know, the ocean, you know, ships and stuff, they're, you know.
Yeah, given them being against the ocean and, you know, some of the dangers of being that close to the ocean and just the dangers of fisherman life in general. And, you know, I mean, I know that there's a lighthouse there that's being used for like a military base. And so, you know, like the lighthouses have been used for multiple different purposes over the years. And so, you know, there's definitely probable grounds for hauntings.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I definitely recommend you look further into that. There's lots of tours you could take, lots of information you can get, all kinds of things. Bed and breakfasts you can stay at that are supposedly haunted, things of that nature. And I will put some of the links for some of those things in my show notes. Other than that, that's my episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We're glad we're back. Mm-hmm. Our goal for this year, I think, is to keep our episodes a little shorter than what we had last year. One of our goals. And then me rambling's not helping. But anyway, so hopefully you guys hang out for them. We appreciate your support. Mm-hmm. Other than that,
it was a very good case. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I very much enjoyed it, and it's all true.
It's all true. It's all true. All true. And on that note, I hope you guys stay.
I was going to say before we end it, sorry, I do want
here
to
for whatever she's going to
say. I do want to give a shout out.
Okay.
To Matt.
Okay.
From Drunken Cryptids.
Yes, absolutely.
We did a podcast with him a little bit ago. I think it comes out on January 19th.
We did an interview with him that comes out on January 19th. Yeah.
And
for his podcast.
Yeah, it was really fun. Y'all should definitely go. If you don't know him or you're not following him, you should definitely go do that. Check out his stuff. He's really cool. You know, and
yeah. Absolutely. Drunken Cryptids. You can find them pretty much anywhere you get your podcast. Super cool guys. It was a very fun, relaxed interview. It was our first interview where we were being interviewed, so we had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys go check that out, and even if you don't check that out when it comes out, just go check them out because their podcast is awesome, and you should, you know, support.
Yeah.
That being said, now I'll say, we hope that you guys. I lost it. Oh man. Hold on.
We appreciate.
Stay curious.
There you go. Stay curious about it.
Stay curious. Stay safe. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.